This is Team Wolverine, and so over the weekend we had three prototypes out of the five that we tested. Each of us tried to work on different prototypes to have different creative abilities and different people we test it with. So I worked on a higher fidelity version of a website because I was only able to work on one prototype and showed it to my aunt and my grandma. And the idea of the website was to crowdsource different like physical activities, whether that's playing soccer or just walking to a coffee shop together. And it shows who's going so it can build kind of a local community. They meet in the central space and they do that activity on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis. Some of the feedback I got was the interface was really easy to use for my aunt, who's pretty old, but not easy enough to use for my grandma, so that's one thing to consider. And my aunt is also part of a bike riding program that brings people around the community to bike together. So she wanted to see activities that could bring a wider range of age groups together.
I had two prototypes myself. I prototyped the same exact website, but mine was an app idea, very similar idea. And I tried to get feedback from my grandmother. Unfortunately for her, it was very hard for her to use her phone. She was telling me at the very beginning it was hard for her to use the technology in the first place. The second idea was of a alumni event, basically, where we'd invite a bunch of alumni to come and get into different groups, do icebreakers, and ultimately decide who it is that they want to spend time with in the future, in their fitness journey from their school. Yeah. And Jan, you want to talk about your
so the two prototypes that worked on, so it was the alumni getting together idea for people to connect over sports, the same university. And I got feedback for that, saying that basically people, first of all, I talked to my grandmother and to Jerome, so that we talked to last year, who's an alumni who plays a lot of soccer. And basically the feedback was that they would definitely use it if everything was organized for them already, and if it didn't require them to do anything much to participate. So we'd have to find ways in which we can make the organization of these alumni-based communities very easy, so that people just have a time and a place to meet and just can go. So that we're going to look into that. And finally, the last idea that we tested and that I prototyped is basically the idea that we would connect seniors with high school students that could accompany seniors to go about very basic exercising activities like walking to the coffee shop, or more involved ones like playing tennis. So we thought that combining the different age groups would be interesting. The feedback that I got from this was actually very different from what Brian got, and my grandma especially said that it would make her feel like she was assisted, and that she would be losing her autonomy if she had to if she had an unknown high school person come to her, and she felt like it would be better for her to just have people of her own age partake in activities in a social way. So this made us realize that maybe we could combine this idea of just the community-based accompanying idea with the website one. So we're gonna for next steps, we're gonna think about how we can combine these two. We're also gonna pick which prototype we should go with, maybe do more interviews to figure that out, and also think about how we can make things easier to use for elderly people and more user-friendly, so maybe conduct more design-focused interviews in specific.
Yeah,
so
see you guys in class.
Yeah.